First of all, thank you so much for having me here. My name is Martyna Jałoszyńska from Razem. I'm a feminist activist. Um, and I wanted to tell you a bit about reproductive rights in Poland. Um, First of all, I think the main topic is, of course, abortion, and I'm pretty sure you know a bit about it because it was quite loud issue. Abortion in Poland is right now basically forbidden. It's available only when women's life is endangered or when the pregnancy is the result of rape. Last Before the ruling of constitutional tribunal, we had of course, officially, like 1,000 abortions per year. Right now, we don't have exact numbers, but it's around 300 in 2021, made legally. But I think we all know that it's not all of the abortions because they're going on illegally as well. And the Foundation for Women and Family Planning claims that there were like 150,000 abortions outside of the system, which means these women went to another country because all of the countries around us have legal abortion. Or they were ordering pills because due to the actions of abortion groups in Poland, the abortion with pills is more and more popular, which is of course great because it's cheaper and the easiest way for the women to actually go through with the abortion because they don't have to travel, and it's more accessible for women who are not so wealthy as the rest of them. So around 100,000 or even more in Poland, but of course it's not. Nobody's sure of that, and conservative politicians and activists say it's a made-up number, and the problem of abortion doesn't really exist right now. So that is the issue, and I think maybe you have heard about the pregnancy registration that was implemented recently in Poland, which normally would be a good thing because it's for women's safety and health. But in our country, since we all know that the government doesn't want women to have abortions, it is considered to be dangerous and it's frightening for many women. So this is like the newest implementation, and of course there's lots of other ideas that the government is trying to implement. For example, abortion right now is not illegal if you're doing it on your own. For example, if I order the pills. So then nobody can punish me for that. But if someone would help me, yes, that person can go to jail. For example, we've already had some cases when a man who paid for the pills was sentenced to prison. We've also had recently quite a loud case with abortion activists who helped the woman and gave her the pills, and the man husband, this woman's husband, reported it to the police. So now this activist is facing trial, and this is something that is also make women feel insecure, feel unsafe, and feel like they're all alone with that issue. So the situation is not perfect, but on the other hand, I think it's important to say that opinion about abortion is changing a lot recently, because for the last few years, many people started talking about this. It's not something that it's just like one of the topic of discussions in Poland right now. For example, like a month ago, we've had this bill proposed to the parliament about liberalizing the abortion law, and of course it was rejected. But I think the last polls are saying that 66% of people in Poland is pro-abortion right now. And of course, this bill, because it was the initiative of the people, not of the politicians. I mean, not the parliamentary members. It was, I think, the most important thing was the process, because in many months of talking to the people on the streets, this was something that would change many opinions. And considering that, I think we can say that we're following Argentina's footsteps with trying to legalize abortion. But when we're talking about reproductive rights, abortion is not the only issue, because Poland is also has also the worst access to contraception in Europe, and this is something that is of course connected to abortion as well, but it's also connected to women's health. Of course, condoms are widely accessible, but we're considering here also the after pill, or the ability to consult with gynecologists. These are the things that we that Poland is having problems with right now. If you don't know the contraception atlas, I'm recommending to check that, because you can learn a lot about situation in other countries in Europe. We are on the last place, I think, for the last 3 years. Between before 2015, when Law and Justice wasn't in charge, it was better. But right now, when for example, after pill is available only with a receipt from the doctor, it has gotten much worse. Another interesting thing is access to proper healthcare, and this is what you can see here is a report from 2018, and you can see that many rural communities in Poland don't have access to a gynecological clinic. On the right here, these 61%, for example, in Mazowiecki, this is where the Warsaw is, so the like the capital city. 61% of rural communities don't have access to gynecologists, to free gynecologist visits. In other regions, 78%, which is honestly frightening, because on the second slide you can see this is the amount of women per one gynecologist in rural communities. Or the green ones are the rural communities, which means that in one village, or for example in one smaller town, you have 27 women per one, for example, one gynecologist, and in the pink ones are the cities. So the difference is large, and we have also remember that these clinics are not open like from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They're usually open a few hours a day, so you have to take a day off and go to, for example, another region to just see the gynecologist and to have examination to be checked by the doctor. So this is something also that is for me considered the problem of reproductive rights. And the last issue is, of course, sex education, which is a large topic for the last few years, because we don't have any national program for sex education. Some schools are trying to implement it. but they often face backlash from more conservative parents, or not even parents, just conservative politicians who are trying to intervene. Sometimes schools where parents even agreed on it are being threatened by the politicians, or organizations like Ordo Juris, which is a like crazy conservative organization connected to Russia. So there's also that, and instead we have a subject called Education for Family Life, which is mostly based on conservative and Catholic values and beliefs. So it also the teachers talk to the students about classic roles of women and men, which and they're often the students often are shown this movies about how abortion is a murder. These movies are usually shown during religion lessons, but on this education for family life lessons as well. So instead of a proper sex education, we have just basic propaganda. Yeah, and right now we are also facing because we have very conservative minister of education. So we're also facing a conservative backlash in other subjects like history. The agenda of these subjects is completely changed to the much more conservative one, and you can, for example, learn about abortion or about different roles of women and men also during history class. This is also a problem that results in unplanned pregnancies or abortion that are made illegally or in an unsafe way. Yes, and I think this is the short sum up of the situation in Poland. But I would like to say once again that when we're considering just abortion, I think the situation is changing for the better regarding the public opinion, because this has changed drastically. And even conservative liberal parties like Civic Platform, who was in charge before 2015, they were always anti-abortion. They were just considering the compromise, which is abortion when the pregnancy is the result of rape, and when it is dangerous for women, and when the fetus has some sickness or other issues. And now they're much more pro-abortion. They still want to force women to consult psychologists or and some problematic stuff, but their point of view has drastically changed. So I really believe that if we will be able to change who's in charge of Poland right now, we will be able to pass the bill about legal access and safe and free access to abortion. Yeah. So this is how it looks like in Poland.
The contribution of feminism in Chile as a critique of social inequalities and as a complex way to challenge neoliberalism and patriarchy has been crucial, especially in the last few years. Different events have been especially relevant in the last few years. For instance, the plight for free and safe abortion, which I will develop further. Also, the feminist revolution of May 2018, and also Las Tesis, along with the manifestation of other feminist organizations during the Chilean revolt in October 2019, that these events lead to a particular key step, which I will also talk about, which is the process of changing Pinochet's constitution. So an interesting aspect of this process of change that we're living now, we're in a very special moment. We have like a President Boric, which is a progressive president, which called his government as a feminist government, and he supports abortion, for instance. But at the moment, also the Congress is very conservative. So we have a special situation. I will talk more about it. But the process of change, the constitution that we're living now, it has been very difficult because on the one hand, it has many progressive, I will talk about it, but it was, for instance, written by the commission with gender parity, which is the first country in the world. So 50% of the commission are women, and also women from diversity backgrounds, so LGBTIQ, etc. And for the first time, as I said, in the whole world, the constitution was written equally by men and women. And these feminist principles also were incorporated in the Carta Magna, and in this way, at the moment, one of the specific rights that are written in the Constitution are sexual and reproductive rights, and specific, the right to interrupt pregnancy is written also in the Constitution. So also is the first country in the world in which the right to interrupt pregnancy is specifically in the Constitution. This also for the feminist movement was a bit controversial, because on the one hand, it is a special moment, and we wanted to print in the Constitution this right. But on the other hand, strategically, it was not easy, the decision, because we knew that that being in the Constitution could be very controversial and very very difficult for conservatives. So, and of course, at the moment, they are saying that if it's in the Constitution, it means that babies can be killed. They say babies can be killed until the end of the pregnancy, or even when they're being born, etc. So it has been very, very difficult to, an argument that they're using against the Constitution. At the moment, also, the propaganda against this new Constitution is very strong. Of course, they own most of the media, so a lot of propaganda has been made against the Constitution. They are distortioning the reality. The Constitution is a big step regarding the Constitution of 1980, which was the Constitution written by Pinochet in the dictatorship, and we still have that Constitution. And it's a Constitution in which we don't have social rights. In Chile, the president have the main concentration of power, and among other, and it's very, very difficult to change. It was thought by Pinochet and especially Jaime Guzman, which was one of the intellectuals behind the Constitution, and it's a very smart Constitution. That's why it has been so difficult to change. And so now we're living a moment with lots of hope, but at the same time, a very difficult moment, because we're not sure if at the end we will be able to approve this Constitution. As I said, the Constitution gender parity is in the Constitution in all the organization of the states, for instance. Also, specific rights are that are very important, such as sexual and reproductive rights, as I said, including the right to interrupt pregnancy, are included also the right to care. Cuidados. Care is at the center of the Constitution, so we have a system, a national system of care, which is extremely important, and health, sex education, which has been fought in Chile by conservatives, because we don't have sex education in schools, because they said that, of course, it's like gender ideology, any kind of sex education. I'm not sure if I'm talking too fast or it's okay. Yes, sorry, I'm a bit sleepy. It's night here, so I'm a bit sleepy. So sorry if anything is not clear. I'm happy to solve. So that's the main situation now, that I think that is extremely interesting, and we need international support, because, as I said, it has not been easy. conservatives are, or anti-right, we could say, are fighting against this new constitution because, of course, they will lose lots of their privileges, but it's because the current situation in Chile is extremely unequal, and that led to the uprising in 2019, of course. And speaking a bit more specifically about abortion, I would like to highlight that until recent, as recent as September 2017, Chile was one of the few countries in the world that did not permit abortion under any circumstance. Although the health code had permitted therapeutic abortion on health grounds from 1931, this was repealed in 1989 as one of Pinochet's last acts in office. And it took more than 25 years to reverse the ban. So finally, at the moment, we have this new act that was approved in 2017, and this new act allows abortion on 3 grounds: when a woman's life is in danger, when there are fetal anomalies incompatible with life, and in the case of rape. So since the law allows abortion only in limited cases, most women continue to have an illegal abortion as previously, and also it's interesting that the law has been extremely difficult to implement. So I've been doing lots of research to try to understand how the law, to try to see how in the practice the law has been implemented, and there are a lot of barriers to women. So the feminist, I will talk a bit about the feminist fight for abortion. And so, as I said, that abortion was permitted since 1931, and this was also because of feminist movements. The movement started to articulate its demand in 1935 in Chile. There was the movement pro-emancipation of Chile's women. And the thing is that legal abortion in 1973, the dictatorship introduced lots of pro-natalist policies. And as I said, in 1989, abortion was prohibited. And in the same year, and during this period, all the international context was changing. In Latin America, there was an important regional campaign to decriminalize abortion. And between the early 2000 and 2012, 11 bills were presented in parliament that would have permitted abortion in some circumstances, but none of them were approved. And Michelle Bachelet became president again in 2014, supported by a coalition called Nueva Mayoría, that's like center-left. And then active feminist members were part of the coalition. And then abortion, as I said, was approved in 2017. And during the same period, I would say, since the recovery of democracy, feminist movement not only fought for the right to abort, to legal right to abort, but also for the social decriminalization of abortion, which I mean to understand abortion as part of a reproductive life of women. And in this sense, it's interesting how women and feminist movement organized in order to provide a clandestine abortion, or to help other women to have clandestine abortion, even if abortion was prohibited. So women organized in connection also with international organizations in order to provide information to women on how to abort clandestine, and obtain the pill, misoprostol pill and mifepristone pill. So there are lots of organizations which they were starting to have organization to help women, and that was extremely important because, as I know, even today in Chile we have these 3 grounds which are very, very limited. But this organization of women who help other women are crucial. Otherwise, we cannot abort. So we are living a very paradoxical situation in Chile. On the one hand, we have a very progressive constitution that will be approved, hopefully, the 4th of September. We're not even sure about this. The polls, I don't know. We don't have any certainty because according to the polls, etc., it will be difficult. At the moment, the reject is winning, we could say. So the rejection, I mean, to the constitution. And in this constitution, as I said, the right to abort is established. But on the other hand, our legislation is very conservative. 50% of healthcare practitioners are objectors. They declare themselves as conscientious objection. They declare the conscientious objection, sorry. And also in Chile is very particular because even institutions can object as institution, as they will have conscience. The institution itself is very paradoxical. So even institutions can, this is very particular in Chile, that a whole hospital or a whole clinic, I mean, not public hospitals, of course, only private or semi-private. Semi-private, I mean, those hospitals that are private but receive money from the state. There was a huge, problem with the court, and the Constitutional Court decided that they can't object even if they receive their money from the state, which is like another subject. But at the moment, we have a very a very conservative legislation, but still free grounds, a feminist movement very, very strong, which are fighting for help other women to abort clandestine, even if it's not allowed, and that has been extremely important. And on the other hand, this new constitution, I know that I'm almost out of time, this new constitution that could change the situation extremely. So it's very crazy, I would say, what are living now. We hope that on September, the new constitution will be implemented, but we are not sure yet what will happen. And as I said, the right to abort being in the constitution is also a problem for conservatives. And I said, that's why even for us as feminists, we thought a lot about the convenience of putting abortion or not in the constitution. Even, it will be the first constitution in the world that allows it explicitly in the constitution. So that's why it's extremely important. So I will leave it there. I hope I'm a bit sleepy, so I hope I was kind of clear. And many, many thanks.